These plans should not be confidential to the people. My mission is this. Why should people be denied access to having information that will affect them directly? The information that will affect you directly, why will they, deny you the access to that information? These people planning all these things, leaders start the war anytime they like. But the detriment, like the consequences of this war, will be upon the masses. And they won't let the masses to know what is going on. And that is why we do what we do, telling you what is going on from across Africa, especially in Nigeria. This is Friday, the 19th day of December 2025. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me in this video. This is a very important video, especially for those of you who have interest about what is going on in West Africa. Now, do you understand that France is very dangerous? France is dangerous to Africa. France is dangerous to West African countries. France is dangerous to Nigeria. Some months ago, or thereabout some years ago, there was a coup that happened in Niger Republic, and France wanted to invade Niger Republic using ECOWAS and Nigeria as a figurehead, like what transpired in Benin Republic. Now, after this present coup happened in Benin Republic, you understand that ECOWAS declared a state of emergency. The day ECOWAS declared state of emergency on this issue of coup, that was the day I started monitoring the situations. What are these people actually planning? Why do they declare state of emergency? Are they going to suspend, laws and do what they want to do? What is the purpose of the state of emergency? The state of emergency that ECOWAS declared was to go into consultation and plan how to disarm the AES, Association of the Sahelian States. That is the Burkina Faso, the Niger, and the Mali. Pay attention to this video. Now, after they, succeeded in taking control of Benin Republic, after the juntas announced that they have captured Benin Republic, they have carried out a successful coup, and they have arrested the president, everything just turned around, opposite to what they said. And who made that happen? France made it happen through Nigeria. And after that event, in that state of emergency, they had one conversation. If we had invaded Niger the way France urged us to invade Niger, today Niger could have been a democratic country. So we were able to invade Benin Republic and we were able to stop these coup plotters. That sounds good, right? But that does not stop there. Most of the countries in West Africa, including Nigeria, their presidents are French puppets. Like, they are under Emmanuel Macron. He controls them. French government is controlling these presidents. They used to have communications always. That is normal. But this time around, the French government is having communication with ECOWAS, but not for a good reason at all. Now, what is the reason? The reason is to plan how to disarm Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Yes. There is nothing happening in ECOWAS region that the intelligence is not coming out first. Let me give you an example. 2 days before the coup happened in Benin Republic, I was told directly there will be a coup in Benin Republic. But in a situation where someone who tells you such a sensitive information said, make sure you do not call my name or let anybody know that I told you this, it will be very difficult. Because coming out to say such sensitive thing, and when it happens, people will be looking at you. This guy knows what went wrong, and you could become somebody of a particular concern to this country. So because of that, we used to push all this intelligence apart, not reporting it, not because we don't know about it. At this moment, the information coming is that France is in a strategic talk with ECOWAS, not for a good reason, as I said before, but to disarm these countries. But my fear is that France has been accused several times of sponsoring ISWAP and Boko Haram in the Lake Chad Basin, that is northeastern part of Nigeria, close to northern Cameroon and close to southern Niger Republic, not too far from Agadez there. There is a problem already. Now, before I go forward, how many of you remember this statement that Tijani made, the military leader of Niger State? He accused Nigeria of collaborating with terrorists through France to destabilize the Sahel. Take a listen.
Tinubu ya hito ya yi maƙyan Najeriya bayani fassara bisa kai ga kudin da ya amso Faransa in bai gayi ba akwai ranar kindillanci sosai kuwa tunda shi Allah.
Tinubu should come forward and explain to Nigerians the funds he received from France. If he fails to do so, the truth will eventually come to light. God will reveal it. Despite the attack on us, we have not taken money from anyone, so no one can accuse us of corruption. I've been around the corridors of power for 13 years, and no one can claim that I've ever accepted bribes.
Aka izo aka yi muna wani walakaki dan mun amshi kuɗi ko mun tambaye ka kai muna wani gyara. Su sun ka zo tunda sun ga ta sama ne sojan Chadi ke kai ma yan Boko hari sai sun ka ba su makamai masu sabke jirgi.
Reports indicate that the Chadian forces have attacked Boko Haram fighters using the airspace, prompting the French to equip the terrorists with anti-aircraft guns in retaliation. This happened in October this year. According to information we gathered from those we arrested, there is a plan involving France and the Nigerian government to allow other terror groups such as ISWAP and Lakurawa to establish a base in the Gaba area of Sokoto State. This move is said to facilitate operations across the northwestern states, including Zamfara and Kebbi, with the full knowledge of the Nigerian government.
That is it. Now, what is the purpose? What is my interest? Why am I concerned about this, developing situation? I understand that these people will be shocked on how this information we're able to find, is route to the public. Why is it that people are beginning to talk about this? Who told the public? This will be a question in some circles from tomorrow. However, my interest is that if these people wait and understand the geopolitical situation going on in Venezuela, they would want America to attack Venezuela first before they will attack these countries I'm mentioning to you. What is the reason why? It is simple. Russia is expanding their war in Ukraine. Russia don't want to give up on Ukraine because Russia want to cut Ukraine out of that sea so that Ukraine will become a landlocked country. That is the mission of Russia. And when Russia achieves that, they can initiate a peace deal and sign it with Ukraine that they should not join NATO and the war will stop there. But Russia want to have total control of that Black Sea. Now, if Russia is busy there and if America attack Venezuela, you understand that Russia would like to defend Venezuela because Venezuela is not just like a Russia, assisting territory. So Russia will be stretched out. Then France will urge ECOWAS to attack these countries. And when this happens, Russia might not have what it takes at that time to support these people. Because as of today, these countries has paid loyalty to Vladimir Putin. And Putin don't want anybody to touch these people. A lot of people see Russia when they see these countries. But this is the plan I'm telling you. Anytime you hear that the escalation between the US and Venezuela, that there is tension, that US have started shooting and all those things, bombing Venezuela, or I don't know, just know that ECOWAS may likely attack these countries. These plans should not be confidential to the people. My mission is this. Why should people be denied access to having information that will affect them directly? The information that will affect you directly, why will they, deny you the access to that information? These people planning all these things, leaders start the war anytime they like. But the detriment, like the consequences of this war, will be upon the masses. And they won't let the masses to know what is going on. And that is why we do what we do, telling you what is going on from across Africa, especially in Nigeria. Now, in one of the video of Pierno Lumumba, Professor Pierno Lumumba, he made a statement and said, France is a very dangerous country to Africans in general. Why did he say so? Pay attention to this video.
Even when you regained your freedom, really you did not regain it. Your master still had control over you. And laws such as that were laws which were designed to ensure that you continue slavery. And the reason was this: it is not everybody who agreed to the abolition of slavery. So that even when slave trade had been abolished, slavery still continued. The only thing that stopped is that you could no longer legitimately sell human beings as commodities. But slavery remained, and as we speak, remains now. So in many of those parts of the world, you still had enslavers who could come for you. You are free, but they can come for you and take you, and you work in their farms, and they deal with you as they deem fit. Sometimes the only thing they gave you was food. And the Portuguese were terrible at this. The Spaniards were terrible at this. The English pretended, of course, after the abolition, that they were no longer doing this. But some of their remnants continue to behave in this way, particularly in the islands. Because in the islands, they did not have as much control as they had in the metropole in England or in the larger part of the United States. So it's true that all manner of laws were enacted. In the United States, we have the Dred Scott Law. All these laws were being passed because you said slavery and slave trade had stopped, but there are people who are continuing with it. And if they are continuing with it and they are like it, how do you know? And you are dealing with slaves who have nothing. They do not know where to go. They can't go to their homes in Africa where they came from. They don't have guns. They don't have houses. They don't have means. Sometimes some of them preferred even to go back to their masters, because at least under those masters, they had food on the table. Outside, it was wild, and they did not know what would happen. And they were also slave hunters, people who continued to hunt people who had free, and they hunted and brought them down to the slave camps. Haiti is a very sad state, the first black African country to regain independence, and we know the great Haitian independence fighter, Toussaint de Louverture. That was the man who defeated Napoleon, and he was never forgiven for that. When he defeated Napoleon, the French never forgave him, and of course they were granted independence in 1890s, and it was black dominated. And remember, we don't say much about this. If you look at the map of Haiti, you have the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, which was then the white population was moved to Santo Domingo, and Port-au-Prince, which is the capital of Haiti, became the part of Haiti, or the part of the capital of Haiti, which was completely dominated by black, many of them from Benin, what is now Benin, which used to be called Dahomey. And you will discover that they actually retained most of their culture. But the French have ensured, and the French swore, that Haiti will never know peace. That they humiliated us by defeating Napoleon, they will never know peace. So at independence, Toussaint Louverture signed that they would be paying money to the French as compensation. I think it was, if it is not him, but I think the Ceylan, one of them signed, and Haiti continued to pay reparation. You remember, somebody has enslaved you. Somebody has colonized you, and when they are leaving, they say you owe them. And it is as if there was a conspiracy amongst the white powers in that part of the world, because when the French left, there was a period in 1905, I think, for a few years, when the Americans actually occupied Haiti and dominated Haiti. If they had wanted Haiti to prosper, they would have ensured that it did. But they did not. And after that, of course, we know how they presided over the occupation of Haiti by some of the most abusive leaders the world have ever known. Jean-Claude Duvalier, called Papa Doc, who used a combination of voodoo and violence to dominate Haiti. And I remember as a young man, we used to hear about Jean-Claude Duvalier, Papa Doc. And after that, of course, we had the son, Baby Doc, who dominated Haiti. And it was all violence. It was all voodoo, and Haiti remained poor and impoverished. So that when in the late 1980s and early 1990s, there was a movement now to try and stabilize Haiti. And there came a man who was a Catholic priest, Jean-Baptiste Aristide, who tried to change Haiti, to try to create order in Haiti. He was removed. Jean-Baptiste Aristide was removed, and then later he was brought back, and I think at time, I think he even came to and lived in South Africa, Jean-Baptiste Aristide, and he went back, and Europe and America, France and America have ensured that Haiti is the way it is. Now Haiti is a land of gangs, everybody occupying their own little corner. It is, if you talk of a failed nation, if you talk of an ungovernable nation, Haiti is. And that is on the doorsteps of a country that claimed that is the strongest country on earth. One would have assumed that if there was ever a case of a country that needed the intervention of the world through the UN, to simply go there and say that this is a US mandated administration and we administer Haiti for the next 25 years, when it is stabilized, then we will give it back to the people. I give you the history and what is contemporary, that it may be understood that slavery and colonization and its impact are things that are with us. They are not things that we read in history books. You open any major television, you'll see what is happening in Haiti now. Gangs in Port-au-Prince with AK-47s and other military-grade equipment and machetes in the streets. When you sleep in Port-au-Prince, one eye must be open, courtesy of the legacy of slavery, and of course, colonization, and of course, neo-colonization, and of course, the vow that was made by the French, Haiti will never know peace. The French are a unique people. Unique in the sense that they claim that France is the mother of modern day revolution, with the French Revolution in 18th century. Liberté, fraternité. That was France during the revolution, and that they exported this revolution to the world. Yet somehow, France is the worst of the colonizers from all objective assessments. Of course, Samora Moises Machel said it is wrong to categorize slave makers as one being better than the other. But permit me to say that they were the worst. Number one, unlike the British, who simply were interested in your resources and therefore engaged in what was called direct rule, the French wanted to assimilate you. So their policy was assimilation. They came to the colonies and they wanted to convert you into French men and French women. And in school parades in the colonized parts of the world by the French, like Senegal, like Mali, like Burkina Faso, which was then Upper Volta, like Togo and Benin and Suriname. During the parade in the morning, pupils used to recite our ancestors, the Gauls. A black pupil saying that their ancestors were the Gauls. They wanted you to speak French. And once they had picked a few of you and took them to the Sorbonne, you had to be a total Frenchman or a total Frenchwoman. They came to different parts of the world and they created what they call the Petit Paris. Abidjan is Petit Paris, the small Paris. And their colonies were actually called overseas territories, les territoires d'outre-mer. They called them overseas territories being administered from the metropole. The French never intended to leave. They never intended to leave Suriname. They never intended to leave Vietnam. They never intended to leave Senegal or Mali or Guinea-Conakry. And they were vicious. They punished you. They humiliated you. They did not want you to speak your language. I do not know why they were that harsh. Perhaps it's because of their history. Remember, this is a country that had kings. This is a country that had Marie Antoinette. This is a country that had King Louis XVI, and there was a time it is King Louis XIV who at one time when he was asked, and what is the state? I think that is that experience. King Louis XIV, when they were controlling France, he was asked, and what is the state? He said, l'état c'est moi, I am the state. And when later King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette came, the French were humiliated. When the people asked where we want bread, they say, why don't they eat cake? And I think that history, that pain, when they created the revolution, I think in 1789, and they created the revolution, France was humiliated during the war by the Germans, and when therefore they became colonialists, they were visiting this pain upon the world. And as early as 1958, as recently as 1958, when they recalled Charles de Gaulle to come and take over power in 1958, remember when Charles de Gaulle came, this was a military general. This is the height of decolonization. He used military force in order to retain the French colonies. And the colonies is what made France what is. So that the France that you see now is a France that is built on the back of those colonies. They were harsh because their very survival depended on these colonies. And their harshness can be seen when on the eve of independence in African countries, they signed the pact for the continuation of colonization. The yes-no vote for French colonies to decide whether after so-called independence, they would retain connection and connectivity with Paris. They gave everybody the opportunity to vote yes or no, but they did not want you to vote no. So that when Guinea voted no under Ahmed Sékou Touré, when they were leaving, they destroyed everything that was capable of being destroyed. Modibo Keïta, in what was then the French Sudan, now Mali, they destroyed everything. Algeria, the pogrom in Algeria, when they were leaving, then led by Ahmed Ben Bella, they destroyed everything. The other countries, they continue to control. As we speak, the currencies of all former French colonies are still printed in France, CFA franc. Their cruelty, I think, comes out of a big psychological burden, which they visit, transfer of aggression. It is painful. You can see even as we speak during the coup d'etats in Africa, the arrogance. You tell a country which is equal in international law that we have accredited our ambassador, we do not care. France, the home of revolution, the home of coup d'etats at one time, can not recognize a revolution when it's taking place, and they say, accept our ambassador. We don't accept the revolution. That is France for you. Arrogance. The most arrogant of the colonial powers. You know, the history of France is the history of how the arrogance fall. If you allow me, the school bully who takes lunch from every little boy and little girl thinks that he is invincible. Then one day, the little boy says, today you are not taking my lunch. And what the little boy does is to hit you when you did not expect. And you find yourself on the ground and everybody is laughing at you. France did not see what is happening in West Africa coming. So they find themselves at a time when they are very weak economically, when at home the population of immigrants is growing bigger and bigger. You go to cities such as Marseille, you find Algerians, you find Moroccans, you find Senegalese, you find Guineans, you find Burkinabe, and things are not happening as they used to be then in the former colonies that you thought you are controlling. A breed of young men and women begin rising. They rise in Guinea-Conakry, and the first thing they do is they say, we abolish all the agreements that exist between us and France. They rise in Burkina Faso and they say the same thing. They rise in Mali and they say the same thing. They rise in Niger, which has been providing you with uranium. Now you can't take it. I think they cannot take it because they are losing food which has been inside of their mouth, and they do not know how to behave. As somebody once said, without Africa, there is no France. Without our former colonies, give France only 20 years, and it will be one of the poorest nations in the continent of Europe. And that is going to happen. And they are resisting because for them this is life and death. But the stars, which I can now perfectly read, are telling me that their goose is cooked, and very well cooked.